So there are many situations where you are going to need to take your design out of Illustrator into image format for various things. So for example, if you want to send an advert to a magazine to put your design in, you want to use it on a website, on an app, on TikTok, on Instagram, and so on. So I have some scenarios up here that I've just added to the top here, and the document is called Exporting Images. I want a version of this poster for app usage. So I want it at 1 times its scale and then half its scale. I want a poster for the website that is 600 pixels wide and 72 pixels per inch. I want just the logo and title, so the film festival plus the logo, as an RGB 400 pixels wide and transparent background. Then I want a poster for Instagram that's 1080 by 1080, and I want a poster for TikTok that is 1080 by 1920. And finally, I want a poster for print that is A4, in other words, 210 by 297. So let's do the ones at the top first. So poster for app usage, 1 times and half. So let's do that. So I'm going to select everything here, except my little thing at the top. And I'm going to go to Window, Asset Export. And it opens up this panel here. Let me just zoom in a bit. So I want a PNG at 1 times scale. And then I want to add a scale, and I want it to be half. So 0.5 PNG. Let's add now. So we've got this item added, and I'm going to say for apps, because it's going to label it anyway like that. And then I'm going to say export. Okay, it's exported, so let's go and have a look there. So here I have assets, and I have ×1, and then I have the half size. And just to confirm that, I have the one is 856 wide, and the other one is 1714. And it's 72 pixels per inch, which is correct for screens. Okay, so that's the top 2 done. Sorry, that's the top 1 done. That's this one. All right, next, I want to take the whole artwork. I'm going to remove these 2, or I'm going to change this one to width. And I want a 600 width. Okay, and this one is for website. So I'm just going to say web 600 pxw for width. Okay, and we'll select that one and export. And now I've got a destination, and let's go and have a look there. We should now have the 600 width one. All right, so we've got the poster for the website done. Next, we need a logo and title with transparent background. So let me select this. I'll just speed this up. I've grouped that, and I could go to File, Export Selection, or I could go to the Asset panel again. I'm going to do the Export Selection one. And here I'm just going to call this logo. I'll set it to go into that folder I created. And we will set it to 400 width. And export. Let's see what we get there. Okay, so there's the logo, 400 pixels wide with transparency. All right, so next, that's this one here. Next, we need a poster for Instagram. Now here, we've got a width and a height. When you have a width and a height, you can't set a width and a height in your export settings. So the best way to do this is just to duplicate the artboard and set the size correctly and just rearrange and resize things. So it involves some kind of extra work. So I'm going to take my artboard tool, and I'm going to hold down Alt or Option and drag a copy. And then on this artboard, I'm going to make sure I'm in pixels, and I'm going to set the width to 1080 and the height to 1080. Okay, and then I'm going to select the whole lot, and I'm going to press E, which will take me to my free transform tool, and then I'm just going to scale this down. And I'm using the bleed because what it will do is that when I export, it will trim to the artboard and not the bleed, which means if there's any raggedy edges, those will be smoothed off. So that's quite a good way to work. Now I'm just going to nudge it down. And then the only thing that's missing out of here is this little logo here. So I'm going to put that up into the artboard, and I'm just going to scale that back. All right, so now I've got a 1080 by 1080 artboard. So let me get that one out. So I'm going to go File, Export, Export As. I want to use Artboard 2. And let's go into the correct place, and I'm going to call this Instagram. And we'll leave it at PNG and export, and let's put it at 72 pixels per inch, which is for screen. I don't need transparency, so I'll just leave it as white and say OK. So if I have a look now, you can see that I've got my Instagram one, which is square. All right, so next we have TikTok, which is 1080 by 1920. So let's take this artboard and let's just change the, let's change the height to 1920. And now we can take the artwork. Okay, that looks, yeah. Let's take this artwork and E. I'm holding Shift, obviously. And then let's go this way. Okay, and then I just have to find the best arrangement. So obviously the text is very important. So I'm just going to shift that over a bit. Okay, and obviously you can take time to make this work better as a more portrait, longer format. I'll make that a bit bigger. Okay, and there's my TikTok size. So File, Export, Export As. I will call this TikTok, and it will be Artboard 2 again, and Export, and 72 pixels per inch, and OK. So now I should have my TikTok version. Okay, I messed up the bottom a little bit there, but you know how to fix that. Basically, I just needed to take the artwork down a tiny bit there. And then the final one is for print. So here, I'm going to get rid of this artboard, and I'm going to get rid of this artwork. So we're back to this one here. And we need to make this A4. So first of all, because it's for print, we need to change to CMYK. So File, File, Document, Color Mode, CMYK, then Artboard. Let's change to millimeters, and it's going to be 210 by 297. Okay, that's A4. I'm going to select everything. E for scale, for free transform, and then let's fit it in here. Let's go and have a closer look. Okay, so I'm going to use the bleed. It helps. And then I'm just going to nudge this over. Okay, and then you can sort of just tweak things and rearrange them to suit the design, but I think that's okay. So now I'm going to go File, Export, Export As, and this will be Print. And I'll use Artboard 1. And here, I need it to be 300 pixels per inch. Okay, and also it needs to be CMYK. So I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to say File, Export, Export As, and I'm going to choose TIFF. I could choose JPG, but TIFF is a better quality format for print. And then Export. Make sure it's CMYK, 300 pixels per inch. Everything else is good, and OK. So now I have everything I need here. I have my apps times 1, half size. I know it's not representing half size here in the preview. The TIFF, the Instagram, the logo, the TikTok, and the web.